Welcome to today's live training. So who is joining me live? Welcome in, ladies. Just want to make sure you guys can see me here and we're good. Okay, so thank you, ladies. Thank you for joining me live today. If this is the first time that you're seeing a video of mine or you're attending this live training, welcome. My name is Eby and I am a life coach. So I help professional women who are feeling overwhelmed. I help them have a work-life balance by teaching them how to take time to care for themselves and embrace their feminine nature. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about today is one of the, I would say, if somebody were to ask me, hey, Eby, this is the problem I'm having, how do I overcome it? If somebody were to ask me that question, I would say this would be like the fourth on my list that people regularly ask me. So what is the problem? The problem is the inability to essentially disconnect your mind from work. So one of the challenges about being somebody who's really passionate about the work that they do is you run the risk of being addicted to your work, especially if you like it or it becomes some sort of a status thing for you, right? And so when you get to a place where you are just exhausted from constantly being in that place, in that state, it can become hard to be able to make changes to have balance, right? But I'm here to help. I am here to help. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be sharing some strategies for you guys that you can use if you work in corporate, like if you have a corporate job that you enjoy, however, you notice that you don't have the ability to disconnect, so your brain is in constant processing mode and problem solving mode, then this training is for you. On the other hand, you can have a corporate job, you like it, you're kind of in the middle, but the thing that you do, your role is constantly solving other people's problems, right? So common roles would be women in technical support, doctors, accountants, right? These roles where people are constantly asking your input to solve their problem, customer service personnel. These are roles that require quite a lot of brain capacity. And when your brain is in processing mode and problem solving mode, you know, it gets to a point where it's harder when you get home to just disconnect it. Like, that's not how it works, right? Like, if you understand mindset work, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. So one of the things, before I kind of go into the strategies here, the way that this training is going to go, I'm going to talk a little bit about some additional signs that you're struggling with this, because believe it or not, many women in corporate have this problem, but they don't know how to put a voice to it. They just know that what they tell me is my mind is constantly processing. It cannot shut up. Like, how do I shut my mind up? How do I shut my brain up, right? Other times they find people around them, like their family and friends, they're complaining that even though they're there, they're never present. That's another thing too. Okay, I'm going into the signs, but just to kind of give you guys a full structure of how this training is going to go, I'm going to talk a little bit about the signs first, then I'm going to talk about the impacts, and then we'll go straight to the strategies. So as I just already said, one of the common symptoms, if you are struggling with this, one of the things that you notice about your life is that you never enjoy life. Like, life is not fun to you. When you go anywhere, instead of being in that moment and enjoying the thing, you're thinking about how you didn't send that email, how you left that email in draft, how you're going to have 50 unread emails and things like that, right? You're constantly thinking about work, you're obsessing about work. This person didn't answer your chat, your team member didn't do this, that, whatever it is, it's always on your mind. And so because it's constantly on your mind, you never feel like you're enjoying life. You almost feels like a burden. Everything feels like a burden, like you feel burdened by it. Okay, so that's one of the common things that you would notice if you have this problem. Another thing, ladies, is your health. Like, this is why I love wellness, health and wellness, because it tells you how you're behaving, and it's almost like your result card that says whether you're doing good or not. So if you have this problem, you're gonna notice that you have zero energy for anything else. Even when you're not doing work, like even when you're not in the office, it feels like you're there, because on a mental capacity, you are there. Did you guys know that your brain does not know the difference between reality and the dream or the thought? So if you are constantly thinking about something, the brain thinks you're actually experiencing that thing. So you will feel like you are at work, and you will feel like your energy is consistently drained, even if you're not going into the office. That's why when women go on vacations and they have this problem, they come back in the same way, or even worse that they went. Why? Because they being away from work, they started to obsess about it even more because it's not there, and the brain went into over-processing mode and trying to create a picture just so that they can feel safe. They can feel comfortable knowing that they are always connected to their work, right? So that is something that I want you to look out for, right? Look and see, where in my life, where am I feeling like my energy has drained because I'm constantly thinking about work. Sorry, you guys, I just had a notification coming and it just kind of threw me out there. But that's another thing too. And the final thing that I want to add in terms of looking for the signs is that even when you're at work, even though you're obsessed with work, even though you're so connected with work, you don't feel fulfilled. Like, how do I describe this? You're excited to be at work if you like your work, or you feel normal, you feel a sense of normalcy when you're at work, but you never feel truly fulfilled. It feels like something is missing. It feels like something, like there's a void in there. When you leave work and you're obsessing about it, it feels like there's a void. The women who have experienced this, you guys know what I'm talking about. I have experienced this too. And that void typically comes from you being disconnected with your body, and you just living life without knowing what your true purpose is, right? So it's going to follow you everywhere you go. You're gonna have that void in you. And if your head if your mind is constantly ruminating and going da da da, the feeling of void will still be there, but you would not be able to hear or understand why it's there. Okay, so how are we enjoying this training so live? Give me a second, let me take a sip and we'll move to stage 2. Okay. All right, so now in terms of some of the impacts that you would notice with this is that you're going to struggle with actually having authentic relationships. This could be romantic relationships, friendships, family. Like, I remember when I used to be there years ago, my friends then, they would tease me and be like, you know, if there's a problem, or if somebody needs help, if somebody's trapped in their basement, and they need the first person they want to call for help, don't call Amy. because she's not there, right? And you know, when they would say it, you laugh, but deep down inside, you're like, what's that supposed to be? You know what I mean? But I understand what they're talking about. I understand where they're coming from, because even when you go out with friends, like, you're not there. If you're in a romantic relationship, you're not there. You're constantly talking about work, and it's not. How do I put it? Like, it's great that you like your work. Most people will be like, okay, she really loves her work, but it's not the way that you build true, authentic connection with other people that don't even know what you do, right? Like, if you're constantly talking about your work, people cannot connect to you because they don't share in that same passion like you do. And if that's all you do, then it's going to be one-sided, and they're not going to feel connected to you. So this is why you're going to struggle with the problem. People are going to feel like you might as well be like a chair because you're not there, right? And we crave human connections. We crave human connections. So this is actually one of the reasons why when women are going through this, they're like, okay, I need help, because they have no friends, they have no partners, nothing, and they feel truly alone. They feel alone in their lives, right? This is one key problem. Another thing that I would just kind of quickly put here is, I mentioned it previously, but is that your expression of your femininity is lost. It's gone. And I know many women struggle with even connecting to that, especially those that are, you know, in that space where they're in their masculine energy and they cannot connect to their feminine energy. But the women who know that there's a problem, is that void that you're going to experience. You're going to experience that feeling of being lost. And this is why when we go to the internet, we're seeing a lot of women engaging in things that were like, how? Like, are you kidding? Right? It's easy to judge them, but when you're operating from a place where you feel lost, anything goes. Anything goes. Like, I know for me, when I was in that state, it's not like you don't know the right thing to do, but your head is so woozy, and you just need somebody to point you into the right direction. You just need somebody to show you what to do. And if you run into the wrong person, they can take advantage of you and use you. So you see how dangerous this is. You see how, like, if you are a woman who is experiencing this, you have no idea the amount of vulnerability that you're putting yourself in. You might call yourself a strong woman because you are so much in your masculine energy, and you are like, you know, you're like this boss babe at work. But if you are not connected to your feminine part and your feminine energy, you're lost. If you identify as a woman, you're lost, right? There are people who there are women who don't identify as women. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to the women that identify as women. If you cannot connect to your feminine part, your feminine energy, you're lost. You will be lost. You will feel lost in the things that you do. It's going to show. And it's when I think about it, and I think about the years that I lived through that, you know, it's quite sad. It's quite sad, because life can be so much better. Life is better, not can. Life is better when you understand your unique parts, all of them, and when you embrace them. Okay. All right, so that one, I went a little bit deep in that. Typically, I talk about feminine energy in my videos on YouTube on Sundays. So if you're interested in that, check that out. But those are the 3 impacts that you would notice if you were struggling with this problem. Now, the next thing is, what can you do about it? Give me 1 second, I'll take a sip, and we'll continue. Okay, sorry, that think I just had a drip there. All right, so moving into phase 3 now. One of the very first things that helped me and that helps my clients is understanding what is the benefit of you being in this problem. See, ladies, one of the things about our brain, I love the brain so much. Like, if anybody were to say, like, Abby, what's your favorite part? Or what are your top favorite parts of your body? The brain will be in there. You know why? Because it's so smart and efficient, and like it's incredible. If you guys understand what the power of the brain, and we're only using a small percentage of it, if you understand how much it can do, it's incredible. Why am I talking about brain here? Good. Because one of the reasons why you continue to struggle with this, even though you don't like it, is because your brain has figured out that there's a benefit to it, and so it's giving you access to those benefits. And so for me, the way this showed up was that work was the only place where I truly felt seen and heard. So other areas of my life with family and friends and relationships, I never felt like that. I never felt validated. But when I entered the workplace, here comes the superwoman, and people saying, oh, you did great on that project, you did great on that assignment, nobody does a presentation like you, things like that. Oh my gosh, now I'm being seen and heard. And so I would constantly put myself in positions and overwork myself just so that I could get those validations to make me feel like I have a high self-worth. So what you can do, the first thing you can do is understanding what is the benefit of me constantly, or what is the benefit of you constantly obsessing about work? What are you getting from it? What sort of validation is it giving you? Are you only feeling seen and heard at work? Because if you only feel seen and heard at work, it's going to be harder to be able to disconnect from work. Because when you go to your other life or your personal life and you don't have that validation, you're going to crave it. You're going to crave it. And it's almost like, it's going to feel like when somebody is fasting from sugar, you're going to have that sugar addiction and whatnot. It's going to feel like that. And you're going to look for ways that you can go back to work or start obsessing about it. So you need to understand, first of all, what am I benefiting from constantly obsessing about my work? What are the validation? What are the things about me overworking and over obsessing that makes me feel good? The second thing now is identifying what else in my life can I use to fill that void. So for me, when I was in that state where I was constantly obsessing over work, one of the things that helped me fill that void was taking a step back and identifying the things that light me up other than work. Identifying the things that I enjoy other than work. Identifying the things that make me feel alive and make me feel seen and heard other than work. So this is something that you can do. Identify, this is where hobbies, people will say get into hobbies and whatnot, but yes, this is where hobbies can help you. Because while you're in this place where you're trying to shift from one state of mind to the other, it's a lot easier when you have something to replace it while you're doing the work, to disconnect your self-worth and your sense of validation from external things. Ladies, I just gave you a word there. Let me repeat that. So when you have identified the benefit of why you are obsessing over work, the next thing is, what can I do to get that same validation? The more internal it is, the better for you. But some women have told me that they like, it's harder for them to rely on internal things because they don't even see themselves that way. They can't even access that part of them where they can give themselves that validation. So if that is you, what you can do is find something outside work first to engage in. As you're doing that, start doing your inner work. So this is the part where you go in and remove those thoughts that tell you that you need something external to keep you full. You need something external to make you feel seen and heard. You need something external to feel good about yourself. This is where inner work will help. But I like to be practical before telling women to go do inner work is, hey, you're obsessing about work. Can we find something that is healthy and safe enough to divert your attention to while you're doing your inner work to heal, so that you don't have to rely on external things? Because you also don't want to obsess about whatever it is, about anything. You don't want to have any sort of obsession with it. It's a healthy behavior to have things that you enjoy, but when you start obsessing over it, no. Because if that thing gets taken away from you, it can take your life. It means that your life is gone and you forget who you are and you feel lost again, right? So that's the danger of relying on external things, okay? So again, just to kind of recap, step one, what is the benefit? What am I getting from obsessing about my work and my inability to disconnect? Number two, what other things in my life can I get that sense of fulfillment from, or that sense of feeling good from? Number three is doing your inner work to disconnect your sense of well-being and approval and worth from external things, work included. And the beauty about this is when you disconnect your sense of well-being and your sense of self-worth from external things, you actually show up better. Like, studies have shown this, like, you actually show up better. Because people think that if you no longer get your sense of approval from work, that means you're going to disengage and show up poorly and do things halfway. The opposite actually happens. Why? Because when you are a healthy human being, one of the things that will give you great fulfillment is being the best that you can, given the resources that you have. And so when you are in that state, you're not going to put yourself or your energy into things where it's like it's halfway done and it's out of integrity with you. Let me use that word, right? You're not going to put yourself in a situation because it doesn't feel good to healthy people. It doesn't feel good to be acting in that manner. So you actually show up better. Your energy is different. You're more creative. You're more efficient. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. But more importantly, you win. You win. Okay? So that's the third step. And the final step that I will give you guys, because I know this is life. You're going to encounter different situations where you're going to go back into that state. The final step that I would say is, this is a process. This is a process. So give yourself as much grace as you can. And if you go back, if you make a mistake and you go back, it's okay. And if you find that you're needing professional help, I can help you, okay? This is my specialty. This is the work that I do with women. So feel free to send me a DM or reach out to me because I can help you, all right? But I wanted to quickly just put in there is like, give yourself grace. It's gonna take some time, not too much time. It's really just your mindset. So it's gonna take some time to get used to, but once you get there, life will be so much better. All right, so that's actually all I had for you guys today. Yeah, that's actually all I had for you guys today. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to put it in the chat. But other than that, I will see you ladies next week, or when I see